Welcome, Leo, to your monthly horoscope for January. This is for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol on the desktop version of YouTube. This month begins with a key placement in your sector of relating. Venus, the planet of love and interaction, is in your 7th solar house. This is one of the most harmonising and healing locations for Venus to occupy. But crucially, the moon is in your 8th house of very deep relationships, and the sun in the more practical 6th house. But the midpoint between the two pitches right next to that Venus position. So I think relationships are going to be a big part of your thinking as you come into this new year. But of course, we do have that stellium of planets in the most practical part of your scope, the 6th house. And that really points towards considerations around work, life organisation, anything to do with health, fitness, diet and nutrition. And particularly with Jupiter being in the 6th house of your scope as this year begins, it's true that you may be thinking about some new ideas in this part of your situation. But also Jupiter is alongside Mercury. And if one of your New Year's resolutions is to get yourself a new kind of role, it needs to be something that actually inspires you, particularly with the combination these two have with Uranus, the planet of the unexpected, which is in the most visible part of your scope, the worldly 10th house. So that's going to see you all through this year needing to feel that level of stimulation wherever you invest your time and energy, but particularly around your work or just the things where you're committed or where you help others. So this combination can give you the potential to be much more imaginative in your approach. But it is true that with Saturn and Pluto in this part of your scope, and Saturn particularly for the last couple of years, your energy may have felt a little bit restrained, a little bit limited, or maybe the burdens of providing the support in your situation, perhaps for others, has at times told. And the interesting thing about that midpoint between the moon and the sun and Venus, the conjunction between the two, is that if you do need to negotiate to change things in your situation, this is going to give you the verbal and mental and relating assets in order to do so really quite successfully. Now Mars, the planet of drive, is in the tender 4th house, much more to do with home, emotion and family. And as I said before, the moon is in the 8th house, but it's alongside Neptune. So when it comes to close romantic or financial relationships, I do feel that this month and 2020 in general will need you to step back at times and be as logical and as objective as possible. But as you make your way into this new year, that clustering of energy in Capricorn is intensifying. We also have the South Node there. And with Jupiter connecting with the South Node on the 7th, that could lead to some kind of positive news about a pet. Perhaps it can be about a job. Some kind of good vibes going to come back to you from past investment or effort. And also on the 3rd, your energy is given a huge boost with Mars moving into Sagittarius, your sister fire sign. This is a really vibrant transit in the following 6 weeks. It's going to lift you up hugely, give you a lot more drive, and it's going to make you feel a lot more attractive too. But this has all taken us towards the annular lunar eclipse on the 10th, which is in a very tender part of your scope, the 12th house. If there is something of a more psychological nature that you have been pushing to one side, perhaps you've just been seeing a health issue, for example, just through the prism of the symptoms or the physical impact it has upon you, don't disregard over the next 6 months the more tender and emotional side of your nature, because you may need to embrace these a little bit more. Your nature can be very proud, and it's difficult for you to demonstrate any kind of vulnerability or weakness, because you want other people to at least respect, certainly admire, and where possible, absolutely adore you. But if there is a chink, something that's not working so well for you, the next half year is the perfect time to try to get greater alignment between the spiritual and emotional sides of your nature and the practical side. But talking of those practicalities, when we get to the 12th and the 13th, and the Sun, Mercury, Saturn and Pluto are all lined up, along with Ceres, which is the dwarf planet, which is very much to do with nurture, we do reach a critical point. And if there is something in your world that's been needing to evolve, and you've been finding that evolution a little bit difficult, perhaps you've been resisting it in some ways, it's possible you may have to confront it once and for all at that point. Now, it's also true that Venus is going to be moving on the 14th into the sign of Pisces, which can give you a cash boost. It's also possible that if you're fortunate enough to have had some generous gifts over the Christmas holidays, you may want to go and invest these in some of the sales that are going to be on at this time of the year. But in a deeper, more symbolic way around relationships, this is asking you to probe into the more committed sphere of your alliances. So if you're lucky enough to be in a relationship where you are very, very close, you can celebrate that over the following 28 days. On the 17th, however, Mercury replaces Venus in the sign of Aquarius, followed by the Sun moving on the 21st and there being a new moon on the 24th. So there's a lot of energy coming in the second half of this month, which is very relationship orientated, which takes us back to the beginning of the story of this year. So I do feel that relationships, be they professional, be they in terms of trying to get a fairer share of the demands and responsibilities you have either at home or at work, or it is around your friendships, your relating outlook can alter as this month goes on, and it's possible it could have a profound impact on you. It's possible with this collection of energy in the 6th house that someone may point something out to you that you find quite difficult to accept. It could be that they're going to level some penetrative truth at your feet, and that may be uncomfortable, or it could be you who's going to be a bit sharper in assessing a situation, because the 6th house energy that you have at the start of this year is essentially very Virgoan. It is very much about the detail, the precision. It's not so much about the big picture, but if you can try to retain an eye on that big picture. Now, as this month draws to a close, Mars is going to be squaring it with Neptune. Now, this is quite tricky, and if there is a relationship doubt for you and you are unsure about which way to go, fall back on the energy of Mercury, which asks you to be a little bit more detached, talk things over, understand other people see things differently to you, and that doesn't make them bad people or wrong, it just means they have a different take. The more objective you can be like that, the better it will be to unpick the swirling mist that could be Mars and Neptune if there is a relationship which is causing some confusion as this month draws to a close. So January can be a fantastic time to get greater organisation, to change your job, to improve your relationships, to get fitter, but I think it does require a closer interaction with others, and do, if you can, try to retain a view of the big picture. If you'd like to know what 2020 will hold for you from a personal viewpoint beyond your zodiac sign, please click on the link beneath this video. You can get 30% off your year's forecast. And I'd like to say a sincere thank you for joining me. Good luck and goodbye for now.